today we're going to focus on purees. Now these are foundational knowledge skills that you should have. So whether you're an amateur cook or professional chef, these techniques are really going to help you. Now there's a few things that you want to kind of follow, whether you're going to cook this in a stock, whether you're going to just use water, whether you're going to roast your vegetable, and you're going to need some kind of fat to emulsify it when you blend up a puree. Now that could be oil, that could be butter. These are the kind of basic foundations to give you really silky smooth purees. So let's learn a few new skills and I will show you the tips and tricks on how to get some really good restaurant quality purees at home. Right, let's get cooking.
I'm going to start with about 800 grams of butternut squash. Scoop out the seeds like this. Get this on an oven tray, add some olive oil, salt and pepper, and you want to roast this cut side up. Now that makes a difference because it's going to mean your puree is less watery by doing it this way. We're going to roast this at 425 Fahrenheit for 1 hour. So while that's roasting, I'm going to make 2 quick purees here. We're going to start with half a head of cauliflower, about 360 grams. Cut this into small pieces. It is going to help when it comes to boiling this on the stove. Everything will cook a lot quicker. Once the cauliflower is cut up nicely, we're going to put this in a pan with 300 mils of cold milk and about 30 grams of butter. Now get this on the stove and we're going to simmer this for around 10 minutes or until the cauliflower is nice and tender. Easiest way to test is just get the tip of your knife and pierce one of the stalks, and if it goes through easily or cuts like this, then you are good to go. Strain off your cauliflower, reserve the cooking liquid, and add your cauliflower to a blender. I'm using a Vitamix here, but you can use whatever you have. Now the important thing here when you're blending is not to add too much liquid because that's going to make your puree runny. So just add it in stages and you'll see it starting to come together here. Add a little bit more until you get it to the level that you want. And we're starting to get a good amount of liquid in here now, not too much. So now we're really going to crank up the power on the blender to really get this puree nice and smooth. So I've been blending this for about 1.5 minutes. It looks super smooth, so I don't think I'm going to need to strain it. Have a quick taste, check your seasoning, and add a bit more if you need to. Blitz it one more time and take a look at how velvety smooth this puree is. Now, normally I would put this through a chinois, but this one is so smooth, I'm actually not going to bother. And you've got a sexy cauliflower puree on the plate. Plenty luxury. Put some cling film onto the surface of the puree. This stops a skin from forming. Next, we are going to make some pea puree. So take about 400 grams of frozen peas. Get those in a pan, and we are going to actually cook this in some of the chicken stock that we made from a previous video, which is the blonde one. We're going to use about 300 milliliters. Measure out 15 grams of butter and set that aside in your fridge. Set up a bowl with some ice and then put a smaller bowl on top of that, and we are going to cool the purees down in this. Now this isn't going to take too long on the stove. 3 to 4 minutes should be absolutely fine. Once you see the peas thawing out like this from frozen, give them a little mix. Bring that mixture up to a kind of gentle simmer boil. You don't want to go too aggressive because then you're going to lose the color of the peas. So just like before, drain, reserve the liquid, and add your peas to the blender. Start them off slowly, and like before, don't add too much liquid, otherwise you're going to make your puree runny. Now this is an optional step. I'm adding about 35 grams of whipping cream. Now this will change the color, but the dish that I'm going to use this puree on, I wanted to have that luxurious mouthfeel with the cream. Now we're going to start adding our butter into this and whisking this up until it's nice and velvety smooth. About 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. Don't let it blend for too long because you are eventually going to change the color of this puree from the heat of the blender. Season this up to taste, and then once you're happy with it, pass this through a chinois with a ladle and make sure you scrape off every little bit of this puree. Put this into your iced bowl that is nice and chilled, and you're going to cool this down here. This is just going to help retain the color. So the pea puree's got a beautiful color, super silky texture, and it is very luxurious indeed. And we're going to store this just like we did the cauliflower puree into a deli or a container, a little bit of cling film on top of the surface. Okay, so it's been about 1 hour since the butternut squash has been roasting, and to check if it's done, just see if you can put your knife with ease all the way through like this. Take these off the oven tray, turn them upside down, and a quick little tip is just get a knife and make an incision down the middle like this, and you can just flip off the skin relatively easily. Watch out, it will be hot if the steam catches. Just wait a minute or two and let the steam cool down. Get this into your blender like before, but this time we're going to use the tamper tool that comes with the blender just to push this down onto the blades. Now you can add a bit of stock to this, or you can add some oil. I'm using cream just because the dish that I'm going to use this puree for, I want the flavor of the cream with the butternut squash. Again, by adding cream, you do change the color of your puree, so if you want them more vivid, just skip this part out. In total, I used about 35 grams. Scrape down the sides of the blender like this, and then get your blender on full whack, and you're going to start adding your butter bit by bit. This will give you a beautiful gloss and shine to your final puree. Season it up with some salt and pepper to taste. And just like before, pass it through a sieve using the back of a ladle to make sure there are no lumps. Doing this one directly into the chilled bowl over the ice, this will cool it down a lot quicker. This is one of my favorite purees. It smells unbelievable. It's amazing with venison, with lamb, with beef, the list goes on. Store it just like before with some cling film on the top of the surface. If you've made your purees correctly, they won't be too loose, so they won't run on the plate. They should hold like this. Now we're going to do some lovely food porn plating and just give you some very nice sexy dollops of the puree on the plate.
And there you have it, restaurant quality silky smooth purees that you now know how to make. Don't be afraid, just make sure you add your liquid in stages. If you add too much, it's going to be runny, but you can always reuse it in a soup or a base for a risotto. So please like, comment and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so we can grow this channel, and I'd love to hear some of the dishes that you would like to see on this channel as well moving forward. See you on the next one.